Okay, welcome back to the final video of this session. In this part, we are going to actually apply the concepts we learned in the previous parts and create programs that do something and can run again and again. Let us first create our simple interest calculator. Let's go to our VS Code editor. I'm going to open up a new file, simple interest. I'm going to shorten simple interest and calculator.py. Don't forget the extension. Okay. Now, in order to calculate simple interest, the first thing we need is the principal, right? So I'm going to ask for principal from the end user. So I use input, and you can see here it is giving me documentation, it is giving me contextual help. This is something which an IDE does, right? See, you can get into information about what input is and all that. So the prompt, we talked about the prompt earlier. Now I can say, please, Anas, right? Please let me know your principal in rupees. You need to get the right unit, and I'm going to use colon and space so that it's easier for users to understand. Rate, you need the next the rate. Again, that I will get from the user itself. Input. So before I do that, let me just print this to see if things are working. Your principal is, and I'm going to principal and save this. Go back to my terminal. I'm on the, yeah, I see it here. I can do Python say calculator.py. Oh, see, I had missed the quote, and the ID is actually showing me. It's showing me this brackets also is as the same color as a string, right? So if I close this, now it changes color to tell you. So if you use the highlighting, you can actually figure out that you are making mistakes. Let's save this, run again. Now it asks for principal. I can put a value. See, this doesn't work. Why? Because I forgot to tell to use f strings. I do this. Now before this it looked like this, right? It didn't, the color was different. As soon as I put f strings, the editor says, and now I will actually use this variable placeholder. Now let us see. Again, I put 10,000 and now it works. So typically when you build programs, you build it iteratively. You do something, you check whether it's working as you expected, execute and see, and then continue. Sometimes if you're very confident you can do more, but generally you go step by step. Okay, let us move on to now getting other things, right? Let me can delete this. Now I have principal, I then need the rate. Input, please give me the rate of interest in percentage, right? So I'll get this too. Last thing I need is time. Equal to input, please let me know the period of investment in years, colon space. So I'll get these three values. Now simple interest calculation is simply principal into rate into time divided by 100. Let me just print this and see what happens, right? I can actually put a comment saying that this is the simple interest formula. I mean, to anybody who's new to simple interest, they can see this and understand. Let's go and execute this code. I've cleared it. Principal 10,000, rate of interest say 10, investment 5. Oh, something went wrong. So it's saying that you can't multiply a sequence of strings. We forgot something. Input always takes whatever you enter and provides it as a string. So I need to cast this using our casting functions, and I'm going to do function composition, right? So this is becoming integer. This again is an integer. This also I need it to be an integer, and then everywhere you can see the IDE trying to help us with contextual help. Now if I run, I'll just clear this. 10,000, 10%, 5 years. Yeah, that's 5,000, right? That works. Now I have made this into a int, right? Really speaking, principal could be a double too, right? Maybe you want to invest 20,000 rupees and 50 paisa, which is nothing but a float, right? Or you could, the rate obviously can be, instead of 10%, it would be like 7.5%, right? So again, that is a float. I'll leave the year as an int, the time in year as an int for now, but you could change it if you want. Now I just go back and execute this. Now I give 10,000, I give 5.5% interest, and then I do it for 10 years. That gives me a simple interest of 5,500. Now this output is not very clear to, not very fancy also, it's not very clear to the end user. So I am going to just make it a bit more fancy. And then let us just put this in. This is a simple way of formatting. I mean, you might use this, you might use different techniques, but this works, and it's very simple to give a clear indication of the output. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say print. So let's just, typically it's very good to tell the user what they provided as input so that they have the context of the answer, right? So you say your investment principal, invested principal is whatever. Now if I'm going to use f strings, I have to put f in front, and then I can embed this and say principal. Say it's helping me to complete code completion. Then I'm going to say print your rate of interest obtained, and I can say rate. Then print f period of investment time. Print f simple interest earned by you now I can say SI, and then I can also, maybe for better understanding for the user, I will probably give the amount to amount earned at the end of investment period. Is here I'm going to do SI plus, I'm going to do a calculation, right? P. Okay, I'm saving this. I'm going to execute this. Okay, I'm going to execute this. Principal is 10,000. Rate of interest is 5.5%. Investment is 5 years. So now you see, P. Okay, that's a mistake. There is no P obviously. What we have is principal. So see, now the code completion helps me to complete that. Now let me clear this, try run again. 1000, 5.5 interest, 5 years. Now it's clear. Your invested principal is 10,000. Your rate of interest is 5.5. Your period of investment, okay, 5 does not help, right? So let me make that a bit more clearer. So rate, I will say percent, time is 5 years, and maybe I can use some rupees symbols to make it more easy for people to understand. So what else can be? This is fine, this is fine. Okay, great. So I'm going to save this, come back here and execute again. This time I'm going to give, say, different output. This is like 12 lakhs. I'm going to go with 7.75% interest, and I'm going to do it for 8 years. So now it tells me rupees 12 lakhs is what you invested. This is the interest you obtained, and period of investment is 8 years. The interest percentage is actually interest. So in this much interest you get 7.44 lakhs. So the total output, total earned money is 19 lakhs 44,000. So this is a now if I try a different number, let's do this. Rate of interest is 5.6, investment is 3 years. You see now the same thing, but this seems to be a bit odd, right? I don't want, I mean, you don't get 82.923 paisa and all, right? So it is better off if I can round this. So I'm going to use a inbuilt function, a built-in function called round. Round allows me to you need only 2 decimals. So I'm going to save this like this, go back, execute my function. So 99, let me do 99 for 6.8% and for 3 years. Now if you see, it is rounding of this value, right? The round helps me to round off my number. This is another inbuilt function, built-in function of Python. So this above example illustrates how you can take input from the user and be able to provide useful information to them. Now you can use this to even calculate your simple interest for your fixed deposit which your father makes, right? So you can say, ask your father, tell me how much you're going to invest, tell me the rate of interest you get, tell me the period you're going to invest, and then you can tell him how much interest you will get and how much he will get and how much amount he'll get at the end of the period, right? So here, because we are taking input for all these 3 things, we are not making any assumptions. You can do it with anything. So tomorrow, whatever be the investment, the information is obtained from the user, and then you are doing the calculation inside your program. So it's very useful for end users. Now let us move to the next one, the greeter. This is a silly one, so we will use this to import, do the greeting, but we'll use some modules to make it a little more interesting. So let us go back and let's call it greeter.py, the extension, don't forget that. Now let us start simply fname, first name, right? So fname equal to input, please tell me your first name. L name or last name is equal to input, please tell me your last name. Now simple thing to do is print this f string, right? So hi f name, so this will get substituted l name. This is a simple greeter, so I'm going to first execute this. Again Python greeter.py. Tell me your first name. I'm going to say Tenali. Last name is Raman. So hi Tenali Raman. So that works. So in order to make this interesting, let me do something like, okay, I want this greeter to greet the user more number of times, but at random. So it could be sometimes the greeter will greet 2 times, sometimes 5 times. So I want to be, it will repeat the greeting more than once, right? So let us do that. I will use a module called random, in which there is a function called randint from random. So this, see, the IDE is helping us import randint, right? Now I can, now I'm going to, instead of just doing print this, I am going to use our repetition operator, right? That's just multiplication or asterisk, and I'm going to say randint, and randint takes 2 arguments. A is for the lowest value, so I want to at least do 1 time greeting, and the maximum I want to do is 9, so it should actually give 10. So randint will never do it 10 times, it will do 1 to 9. That's how randint works. This is why you need to know how each program works. You will have to go to the documentation if you want to find more, right? So now I'll save this. I'll go back to here. Now I'm going to clear it up. Tenali, or this time I'll go with beamsane. Beamsane Pandu, last name, right? So here, as you see, it's repeating Beamsane Pandu, and it's 2 times. Maybe if I try again, be Tenali Raman. See here, repeated multiple times. But we actually see all of it in one line. We want to do it in, say, multiple lines. So I'm going to use a special string literal called /n. Now, if you use this, what happens is this \n is a special character. What Python does when it sees this character is that it will add a new line. It will, as if the next part will come in the next line. So let me save this and let me come here and I will try Tenali Raman. You can see now it has actually gone. How many times is this? This is the entire 9 times, right? And it's come in different lines. Let us try with Beamsane Pandu. So Beamsane comes 5 times. So each time you execute this program, the number of times it will greet will change because it is randomized. Let me make it a little more interesting. Print. I want to let us make it like a conversation, right? Print hi. Okay, it's already used him. I want to say this is, there is nothing to substitute, so this is Python greeter here. I better close this, and then maybe I want to say print, and I want to do a multi-line string, so I use the triple quote. How are you today? And I will just use the first name now. And I didn't close this, so let me close it first. And then I can go to the next line because this allows me to do that. It's a triple quote. Hope today is a good day for you. And then I will say bye. Let us run this now. I will go with Tenali again. First name Tenali, last name Raman. And so now you see it is done the random number of time greeting, and then I'm saying this is Python greeter here, how are you today? Multiple lines, right? So that works. Now, how are you today? Hope today is a good day is nice, but can I actually get today's date itself, which will make it much more fun, right? So let me go. So I'm going to use again some standard library function. So I'm going to say from date time. This is a module in Python standard library. I'm going to actually take this is actually another kind of class from this module, right? Class, don't worry about what class is, it's just let's just assume it as a collection of functions. So I'm going to use this here. Let me just date time, this class I'm going to use, and then I'm going to say today is a function inside datetime class. Let me just execute this and see how it looks. Tenali Raman. Oh, okay. I see that now actually getting the date, but this doesn't read as well, right? So it is going to change when I each time execute this. If you execute it on a different day, you will get a different date here. So it works, but it doesn't work as well as I want it. So I'm going to use a string formatting function which is available inside datetime. So you can go to the browser and open up. It's called Python datetime string format time. So just go to the Python library, right? Standard library. So this is the Python documentation. So I can just go and use the, see here, this is the string format time function, right? So I am actually going to use this now. I am going to use, say, string time, and this takes format codes, right? So I want to get the weekday, so I want to say, so I can provide percentage %a. If I use this, right, it will actually print the weekday. Then I want to get the this is the month. Yeah, I want to get the month. Be nice to say the month, and then I want to say the date. Date is this. This is the day of month 01/31. So I'm going to do a percentage %d. This is a format code string which has to be given to the this function. I won't talk a lot about this because you can go to the standard library documentation and get more, and you can change these things and play around. But I think this will work for us now. I'm going to go here, execute this. I'm going to say Tenali, and I'm going to say Raman, and the random number of times, the last time 4, this is 5, and hope Sunday October 4 is a good day for you. See, now because I took today's date and I am formatting it in this form, it is changing the output and providing us a much more readable version of today's date. If you execute it tomorrow or on a completely different day, this will change. So dynamically the greeter will greet you for different days. Cool. I think we are done for now. So we have developed and saved 2 programs that interact with the user, import modules from the Python standard library to do different kinds of things, and we even added comments to the code. So you have practically used all the concepts you have learned in this session. You also use some of the things which you learned in earlier sessions. This concludes this session and all its parts. I will come back with a new topic in Python in the next set of videos. Please use the comments to ask your questions. Thank you and see you soon. Before we close, summary of all the 3 sessions or the 4 sessions. We got user input, we figured out how to save Python code in files, we figured out how to import code from others, and we looked at a couple of programs. Thank you.